Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Akmal bin Abdul Rahim. My matrix number is 2020845356, and in this video I will present about Chapter 8 in Operation and Regulation of Securities Market, which is Securities Offences. There are some irregular market action which are limit up and limit down. A limit up occurs when the market price of a share appreciates by more than 30% from the closing price of the previous trading session. A limit down occurs when the share price drops by more than 30% from the closing price of the previous trading session. So, a counter on the Bursa measure automatically suspended from the trading if its share price moves either 30% up or down in a single trade session. The next one is offences dealing in securities under Capital Market Services Act 2007. The first one is issuing false misleading statement in Securities Industry Act Section 86. It meaning that a person who makes a statement that contains false or misleading information that is likely to affect the price of securities in the stock market or is likely to induce the sale of purchase or securities by another person. The number 2 is about fraudulent inducements to deal in securities. It meaning that a person should also not make or publish any misleading, false or deceptive statement or forecast or dishonestly conceal material fact with fraudulent intent to induce other persons to deal in securities. The third one is insider trading. An officer, agent, or employee of a corporation or an official of a stock exchange should not, in dealing in the securities of the corporation, make improper use of specific confidential information acquired by his positions to gain an advantage for himself or any other person. Such specific confidential information includes information regarding the possibility of the corporation entering into a substantial commercial transaction with another corporation, or the possibility of a takeover offer or bid being made by the corporation to another corporation. The term agent includes a banker, advocate and solicitor, auditor, accountant, and stockbroker of the corporation.
I will explain for short selling. Short selling occurs when investor sells all the shares that he does not own at the time of a trade. In short, a trader buys shares from the owner with the help of brokers and sells them at the current market price with the hope that price will surge. Next, stock market. Let we understand first what the meaning of stock. Stock is a financial instrument that represents ownership in a company or corporation and represent a proportionate claim on its asset, what is owned, and earning what is generated in profits. Stocks are also called share or a company equity. Stock ownership implies that the shareholder owns a slice of the company equal to the number of shares held as a proportion of the company total outstanding share. For instance, an individual or entity that owns 100,000 shares of a company with 1 million outstanding shares would have 10% ownership stake in it. Most companies have outstanding shares that grant into the millions or billions. There are two main types of stock, common and preferred. The term equity is synonym with common share as their combined market value and trading volumes are many magnitude larger than that of preferred shares. False trading means act intent or likely to create a false or misleading impression of active trading in securities or in the security market of a security exchange or with respect to the market form.
Hi, hello. So for my part, I will be explaining about designated securities, corner, and also penalties for contravention. So first of all, designated securities means securities issued by an insurer or by any affiliated entity or by any fund to which such insurer or any affiliated entity provides any services. So here are some more definitions for the meaning of designated securities. Designated securities means any securities, the granting of a security interest in which would require separate financial statements of a subsidiary to be filed with the SEC or any other government agency pursuant to Rule 3 to 16 of Regulation S to X under the Securities Act and the Exchange Act, or any successor regulation or any other law, rule, or regulation, but only for so long as and only to the extent necessary not to be subject to such requirement. So it's okay, I can give you guys some examples of designated securities in the sentence. So here is what I got. Example. In all dealings hereunder, the representatives of the underwriters of designated securities shall act on behalf of each of such underwriters, and the parties hereto shall be entitled to act and rely upon any statement, request, notice, or agreement on behalf of any underwriter made or given by such representatives, jointly or by such of the representatives, if any, as may be designated for such purpose in the pricing agreement. So moving on to the second one, corner. So what is a corner? In investing or trading, a corner is an act of one entity obtaining a controlling interest of a business, stock, commodity, or other security so that they may manipulate the price. Cornering may happen to a specific security or a market area if an individual or group of people have established a significant degree of control. Another term of cornering is market manipulation. In most instances, cornering and market manipulation are illegal. So how does a corner works actually? When someone is said to have cornered the market, they have gained significant power over the manipulation of quantity and price. In other words, the obligations on future contracts to deliver a particular commodity greatly outweigh the actual amount of the product available. For example, if a volcanic eruption in Hawaii should destroy all except one pineapple grower, that surviving grower would have a corner on the pineapple market. Obviously, while there was no malicious intent by the grower, they now can determine a market price for the remaining crop. Sorry about that. While rare, an event like this could drastically affect the futures market. Our grower has now cornered the pineapple futures market. In this kind of situation, there are more existing market commitments for delivery than there is of the available product. There are actually types of market cornering. Many people who try to corner the market are not innocent bystanders like our grower, but instead active participants. The two most common cornering methods have colorful but fitting names. First of all, the pump and dump. In a pump and dump scheme, those with an existing position attempt to boost the price of a stock through recommendation based on false, misleading, or greatly exaggerated statements. This strategy frequently attempts to manipulate and artificially inflate a micro-cap or small-cap stock. The culprits will then sell out, leaving later buyers to hold the bag. Poop and scoop is the second method. That less frequent is the second approach. Here, a small group of informed people attempts to drive down a stock's price by spreading false information, rumors, and otherwise damaging information. If successful, the market price of the asset will fall as others sell. After the market sell off, they can then swoop in and purchase the stock at a bargain price, knowing the fundamental of the business are sound. So that's actually the some explanation and definition and also examples for corner. So for the third point is the penalties for contravention. So here's what I got. Under the provisions of the Securities Industry Act, a person who commits an offense involving improper dealings in securities will be liable on conviction to a maximum fine of 1 million ringgit or 10 years imprisonment or maybe even both. So although an infringement is not a criminal offense, the financial impact can be significant. If you are found guilty of an infringement, you may face a fine of up to 10% of the worldwide turnover or your business throughout the infringement. The exact amount will depend on many factors, including the seriousness, duration, and impact the infringement had on the competition and the market. Although an infringement of the Competition Act is not a criminal offense, any interference with any investigation by the Commission and the tips-off or threats against anyone involved is a criminal offense that carries severe penalties. But somehow, does the Malaysian Act apply overseas? Yes, of course. The Act governs any conducts within Malaysia, plus any commercial activities outside of Malaysia if it affects competition in any market inside Malaysia. So, for example, if you're doing business in Malaysia or considering opening a business in Malaysia, you should make sure that you know the rules and regulations regarding anti-competitive behavior. Whilst you have the assurance that your business will be protected against any competitive behavior by any others or dominant players in the market, it is also essential that you do not engage in any conduct that could be seen as anti-competitive. The consequences of any infringement could be significant to you and your business. If you are unsure or find yourself accused of any competitive behavior, you should speak to a lawyer with experience in this field as soon as possible before it turns out worse.
Bursa Compensation Fund. Bursa established and maintained the Bursa Compensation Fund in accordance with the Securities Industry Act of 1983 SIA, and it is used to replace those who have suffered losses in the situation listed. First, Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad Compensation Fund is used to compensate individuals who have suffered monetary loss in the situations specified in Section 152 of the CMSA. Second, the Fidelity Fund of Bursa Malaysia Derivative Berhad is also used to compensate individuals who have suffered monetary loss in the conditions but specified in Section 167 of the CMSA. Third, the Compensation Fund of Bursa Malaysia Depository Sendirian Berhad was created to compensate individuals who have suffered loss or damage because of the situation specified in the Bursa Depository Rule. This fund is made up of contributions from a stockbroking company that is a member of the exchange, as well as contributions from the exchange itself. Eligibility: persons who have experienced monetary loss as defined in Section 72 of the SIA because of dishonest misuse of funds or other property by a director, officer, employee or agent of a licensed stockbroker, and the stockbroking company's insolvency. Claims process in accordance with the securities industry's guidelines. First, claimant makes claim in writing or publishes claim statement. Second, a panel of inquiry deliberates on the claim in accordance with the Regulation 5 Notice Compensation Fund. Third, claimant receive notification from Bursa on status of claim. Then, if the claimant is dissatisfied, he or she may file an appeal with the Securities Commission within 1 month. And last one, if the claim is successful, the claimant receive a check. Limit of claim RM 100,000 per claim and no limit per stockbroking company. A cut-off date for submission of claims on or before the date specified in the Regulation 5 notice, not being earlier than 3 months after publication of the said notice and within 6 months from the date claimant becomes first aware.